How's it going, guys? This is Vincenzo from home of Milan coming back at you once again. Furthermore, today we got a lot to unpack. We got the game in the Europa League versus Roma and the Serie A game versus Sassuolo to cover. Also, the previews of the second leg versus Roma and the preview versus Inter in Serie A. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you guys check us out on all of our socials at Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and bunches, all at home of Milan, and make sure you guys like and subscribe for more content like this. Without any further ado, guys, let's jump into this. So following our great performance against Lecce, we were hoping to get a Milan side who would be aggressive on the front foot and progressive going forward, but we got the complete opposite of that. Roma being the aggressor, and the difference in this Roma side being much more fluid under Daniele De Rossi. And there was much controversy surrounding the first goal because fans were saying that prior to the corner that Roma received, Lukaku was offside. Pele did get a yellow card for the protest, as he as well thought it was offside. Me personally, I don't think it was, but instead of complaining, we should do more so and look at the reaction of the team rather than crying about it and crying about something that doesn't go our way. Roma do end up taking the lead through a set piece, and to their credit, they worked it well. It was a corner, and Lukaku and Smalling do well to box out Loftus-Cheek to leave Luca Mancini wide open for him to head the ball into the bottom corner, and Roma take the lead. And we were hoping for a reaction from Milan, and our attacking threats in Leao and Pulisic were completely shut out of the match, and Roma made it very difficult for us to move the ball forward, and we resulted into shots from outside the box, most notably from Reinders. And it was so frustrating because I feel like that there was no effort to even move the ball forward, as we were so complacent and we looked so scared to even attack, not moving the ball forward or not challenging this Roma defense in one-on-one scenarios. And instead, we saw a lot of passes across the pitch and passing back to the back line. And in the second half, it was much of the same, not creating, not being cohesive in the attack, and we really struggled to get anything going. And Benacer getting subbed out was, in my opinion, the turning point of the match. We saw Yacine Adli come in, and he was looking for these progressive passes, pressing this Roma team, and looking like the only one to try and create something. And I was super happy with Adli's contribution to the game. Likewise with the other substitution that came after, Chukwueze, who was electric with coming on, challenging more than one Roma player at a time, and being aggressive and making a move to at least get something going and create chances. Of course, the massive elephant in the room is in the dying moments of the match where Chukwueze nutmegs Spinazzola and beats two other Roma players on the dribble and finds his way to the touchline, passes the ball to Giroud, who's in the 6-yard box, and hits the crossbar. And we thought that this was the moment of salvation, and Giroud squanders his chance to equalize and to give us a glimmer of hope to take into the second leg in Rome. We absolutely ruined the chance. And the game ended with a very bitter taste in a lot of our mouths because we played so poorly, never really threatening Roma until the dying minutes of the match. But at that point, it was too late to salvage anything. And we go into this second leg with a lot of work to do in a very tough environment to play in. In my opinion, this is probably the third hardest place to play in Italy, next to Inter at home and Juventus at home. Roma, in my opinion, is the third toughest place to play, and you know that the Roma fans will turn up for this one. We hope to see a Milan team with fire in their eyes, and most definitely hope to see a Milan team being a lot more progressive and threatening going forward, and we really hope to get the best out of players like Leao and Pulisic, and even Teo for that matter. Let's go to tops and flops. For top, hands down, I'm saying Chukwueze. I think he was the best player on the pitch, the most threatening going forward, and he was subbed in at the 60th minute, which says a lot about how we were playing. If he's the most threatening player with only 30 minutes left remaining, I think that says a lot. So Chukwueze is my top. And for flop, I'm going to say Giroud, just because he missed that massive chance to give us the equalizer and bring home somewhat of a positive result. So for that reason, he's going to be my flop. Moving on to our Serie A game versus Sassuolo. We know Sassuolo can always give us a tough match, and this was exactly that. Even though I predicted a 1-0 match, it could have been the more opposite, a 6-goal game split 3-3. And we found out a couple days earlier that Mike Maignan would be out with fatigue. And I think myself and a lot of fans are kind of just over Mike Maignan and these injuries. And a goalkeeper should not be missing as many games as Mike should. And I think it could be time to move on from Mike Maignan. I think just cash in that 60 to 70 million price tag and just reinvest in a new goalkeeper, because at this point, I'm getting kind of over these injuries for Mike Maignan. But in the opening 4 minutes of the game, Sassuolo actually do pretty good to move the ball quite well. And you're asking so many questions about the man marking and the defense. And if you look at the goal, none of the Sassuolo players in the box were man marked or covered, leaving gaps, open spaces, and most importantly, time for them to have that attempt on goal. And here's the thing, with Kier, he can no longer play at this level. He's been a great player for us in previous seasons, and this season he's shown on multiple occasions why he's no longer eligible to play at this level. And questions need to be asked why Giancarlo Simic isn't getting the nod to start over Kier, especially as a Primavera player. And to quickly touch upon Malik Thiaw as well, I feel like he's been absolutely horrendous since coming back from his injury, not really returning to the level that we saw last season, and there needs to be a discussion held on what his future looks like with Milan going forward. And it goes from bad to worse, as only 6 minutes later, we go down 2-0 after Loriente leaves Florenzi in the dust and is one-on-one with Sportiello, who saves the shot, but comes back into the path of the French winger, and he puts it into the net for Sassuolo's 2-0. And in the event of Malik Thiaw getting a ball saved off of the line from Consigli, shortly after, Chukwueze does score the equalizer, but it is chopped off for an offside goal. And if you look at the semi-automated offside graphic, Chukwueze gets called offside for his arm being past the last defender. And in what way does his arm affect the play? In my humble opinion, the fact that the arm is still counted for the offside when you can't even score with this part of your body is absolute nonsense, and this rule needs to be changed. Moving swiftly on, we're actually blessed with some Leao magic as he dribbles into the box and makes a nice little move to get past 2 Sassuolo defenders and slots it past Consigli, and it gives us 1 goal back. After a frustrating game versus Roma, I felt like it was really good for Leao to get a goal today, and it makes me more hopeful that he can actually show up versus Roma on Thursday. But going into the second half, 5 minutes later, Sassuolo grabbed a 3rd goal as this defense was absolutely terrible today. Not marking anyone again, leaving acres of space for Sassuolo to work with and for Sassuolo to pass and move around the box and to get a shot off. And Kier is most likely to blame here, in my opinion, and it just proves my point even further that he's a liability at the back. And we saw Pioli make substitutions with Reinders, Gabbia, and Giroud all coming in, and we look like such a better team going forward, and with Reinders on dictating the tempo of the midfield and moving the ball forward and with the right intentions going forward for a lot of the time. And it took Reinders 4 minutes to get involved, and he had his fingerprints all over this comeback, in my opinion, as he passes the ball to Leao, and Leao does a nice little Travella cross into Jovic, who puts the ball in the back of the net, and Milan get yet another one back. And I understand why Pioli put out the lineup he did today, because he wants to rest the starters versus that second leg in Rome. And we still do have a nice little cushion over Juventus for that second place spot, so we could risk a little bit more, but this cameo from Reinders just proves his importance to the team. Milan looking a lot more alive, and the field tilt was most definitely in our favor, and we started to create lots and lots of chances thanks to the substitutes, and we actually do get a equalizer goal, but it is chopped off for yet another offside, which is literally not even close to being offside. And Chukwueze brings the ball to the touchline and scores a nice little outside the foot goal, but it is taken away for offside. And Chukwueze in these last 5 games or so has been an absolute joy to watch. And it looks like we finally unlocked him, and he's just been so threatening towards the goal, taking his man on and doing well to link up with teammates also. And I hope he just doesn't get discouraged and keeps his form for these remaining games of the season. With Noah Okafor coming on, we are now in all attack mode. And with Okafor's first touch of the game, he equalizes with only being on for 2 minutes, and it's now 3-3. And we walk away with only grabbing 1 point in this one. And in the end, it was a very, very disappointing game when it looks like we could have really turned it around in the 60th minute. It was just too late at that point. And it kind of reminds me of the times where around November, December, where we were kind of getting these late equalizers or these late winners, or just, leaving these games so late to come back and try to grab a result. But when the defense lets you down in these sorts of games, it's very difficult to grab 3 points in the end. Let's move on to tops and flops. For top, I'm going to say Leao, because in his last 3 Serie A games, he's had 4 goals and assists. That's 3 goals and 1 assist in 3 Serie A games, and it was most definitely the bright spot in today's game. And we just hope that he can continue this going into these next couple important fixtures. And for flop, hands down, it's Kier for the reasons I mentioned previously. Don't really want to get into it, so Kier is my flop. Let's preview our next 2 games in the Europa League and Serie A. Let's start off in the Europa League with Roma. We go to the Stadio Olimpico for the second leg in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. And this is going to be a very, very tough game, because obviously Stadio Olimpico is a very tough place to go and play, and also to get a result, because we have to win to go through. And obviously this Roma team has a lot of tricks up their sleeve. De Rossi has these guys firing on all cylinders, and it's going to be a very tough game, which is why I think we're going to draw. I think it's going to be a 1-1 result with Roma going through. Just seeing how they played in that first leg, they really contained us, and it's going to be very difficult for us to get a result. But I'm hoping my prediction is incorrect, but I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw. And lastly, to preview our next Serie A game versus Inter, the Derby della Madonnina is one of the best games of the year. Obviously, in these last couple fixtures versus Inter, we've been dog walked. And obviously, this game, if Inter do win, then they win the league. They officially clinch it, which I just can't see us winning this game, because obviously Inter have a lot on the line. Obviously, it also depends on what happens in the Roma game, which could either be something good or obviously something very bad. But I'm going to predict another draw here. I think it's going to be a 1-1 or a 2-2. But I just definitely don't see us winning. But if we can at least not lose, I think that'll be a win in my book. So yeah, I'm going to predict another 1-1 draw versus Inter. I think that'll do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Get involved in the comment section below. What do you think about the new setup? I kind of, rearranged my desk here a little bit to kind of center it a little bit. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are we going to get a result versus Roma? What do you guys think about the Sassuolo game? And are we going to lose in the Derby versus Inter? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Ciao ragazzi.